You are now looking at a Perplexity Pro workspace. You will find some differences between the Pro version and the free version. There are some things that you can do, in addition to being able to do certain things without limits that you have with the free version. One of the things that you will see is that you do have access to different models. And depending on when you see this video, you will see models that are added that will give you added flexibility in the way that you engage with the chatbot and in search. In this video, you'll see Claude Sonnet, Sonar Large, both of which are associated with Claude, GPT-4o, which is the latest advanced model by OpenAI. You'll see Grok-2, which is the latest model by xAI, and then another Claude model. And of course, you have the default model to be used, created by Perplexity. In order to have access to the Pro tools, you'll need to make sure that you are toggling on Pro. For example, if you toggle off Pro, you'll be using the same tools as the free version. And again, if you toggle Pro on, you'll be using the Pro version. If you want to augment your spaces with files, you can upload files to any of the spaces that you have already created, or you can create new spaces with additional files in order to influence what happens inside of the space and the searches that you generate. Going to the Library tab, you will see that you have both the Threads and the Page button, and the Page will allow you to create a page. The Discover tab is the same for both free and the paid version. We will look at some elements of the paid version in the next video. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in the next video. Welcome back. One of the paid tools that you'll be able to use falls into the Library section. You can click on the library and you're going to see that you have an element here that says Page. We can click on Page. This will allow us to draft a page from content that we generate. You're first going to write what your page is going to be about. You will then click on Audience. You can then determine what kind of audience you want for your page. Your page can be for beginners. Your page can also be experts, which does use more technical terms and references advanced concepts. We're going to choose experts. What we're now going to do is we're going to click this button to go to the next step. Perplexity will then begin writing the page. You will see that Perplexity will populate your page with a specific image, and you will notice existing sections that Perplexity has already laid out for you. You'll see those pages with sources and with content. You can also add in media to each section. If you want to rename the section, you can rename it. If you want to edit one of the sections, you can click Edit, and you can rewrite the section in the way that you want it to be. You can also go to the ellipsis for any of the sections, and you can move the section up or down in your page. You can also delete a section if that's what you want to do. You can create additional sections if you want the page to be more comprehensive. You can also choose a different page layout. You can click on the Layout button at the very top. You can make it so that the header will be smaller. You can make it so it will be larger, or you can make it so that there is no header at all, and you'll see your changes made. You can click on the Preview button to preview the page. You can then publish your page. Your page will then be published and shareable on Perplexity. If you go to your library, you will then be able to see your pages. If you want to unpublish the page, you can click this button and you can unpublish the page. And you can add your page to an existing space. Okay, so that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Part of the process has already been completed, and we have downloaded several articles on our topic area from scientific publications and journals. We are now going to use those articles inside of our Pro account. We are going to go to the Attach area. You'll notice that there are no longer stated limits. We're going to attach the articles. With our Pro account toggled on, we're now going to ask Perplexity to summarize each of the articles and to provide one joint set of conclusions. We are now going to click Enter. And we're going to allow Perplexity to complete its summarization and complete our requests. And Perplexity provides a summary of each article. It also provides a summary of all of the articles together. We can include other elements such as videos and images if that is what we want to do, but we're going to leave this search for now as is. Okay, so that thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. We can perform several operations with our existing content. One thing that we can do is we can search videos on the specific topic. We can click on this element. We can then search videos, and we will search videos on a similar topic. Now, in some cases, these videos may or may not necessarily be fully relevant, but they are available to us to watch. We can also search images, and you'll see those images that will be available for us to have in this area. What we can also do is we can add all of this content to a specific space. We can click on space, we can create a new space, and we can give the space a name and a description. Because we have the Pro version, we can choose a default AI model, and we can give the space custom instructions. Now, this will not apply to the content that we have already generated. It will apply to new content that we will generate in that space once we have already set it up. When we click continue, the content then will be added to a specific space, and it will be the first element in that space. We can convert this content to a page. We can click on convert to page, and Perplexity will then begin to populate the page. Once the page is complete, we can choose to publish that page and make it available, or we can leave the entire page as unpublished. Okay, so that thanks, and I will see you in another video. Since you have access to multiple models in the Pro version, you'll want to determine which one suits what it is that you are trying to do. One of the ways that you can do that is you can write in your prompt to the dialog box. In this case, we're going to use a semi-structured prompt by asking the chatbot to think step by step. We're going to make sure that the focus is the web focus, and we are going to use the default model. We are then going to click enter, and we will allow Perplexity to do the work and then to find the appropriate sources. We are going to copy this information. We're going to paste it into a word processing document. We are then going to add this information to an existing space. And we are going to use a follow-up question in order to rank the applications. We're then going to click enter. We're going to allow Perplexity then to do the work for us and to provide the answer. And we're going to follow with one more question on pros, cons, and pricing. We will then click enter, and we will allow Perplexity to complete its analysis. We're now going to copy our entire question, and we're going to use a new model in the next video. Okay, so that thanks, and I will see you in the next video. Welcome back. From the settings area, we're going to change the AI model. We're going to change from the default Perplexity model to the GPT-4o model, which is the latest advanced model by OpenAI. And we're now going to be using GPT-4o. We're going to go to our Home tab. We're first going to copy our exact question. And we're going to go back to the home page. What we're now going to do is we're going to write in our query. And we're going to allow Perplexity to do the work with a new model. And you are going to see different results with a different model. We're now going to use our follow-up question. The ChatGPT-4o model did come up with a different conclusion for the first question. There's also a different conclusion for the second question. We are now going to go to the third follow-up question, and we're going to place in the final question. We're going to add in a fourth question and ask the chatbot now to choose one. So the ChatGPT-4o model does provide information in a different way inside of Perplexity and comes up with a different conclusion than the default model. Or for good measure, we are going to go back to the first query from the default model, and we're going to give it the fourth question to choose one. Now, although the root is different, the final answer is the same in the default model as it is with the ChatGPT-4o model. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now in this video, we're going to use the Twitter or X.AI model. This model, as of the recording of this video, is called Grok-2. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go to the home page and we're going to ask our query. We're going to copy our query, and we're going to add it to the dialog box. We're then going to click Enter. We're then going to allow Perplexity to generate its results for us. The results to the first question are different from the others. We are now going to add in a follow-up question. What we are trying to do is we're trying to go through a step-by-step process in order to get the AI to come to a conclusion. We then want to see if any of the models provide a different conclusion. You're going to see a more robust discussion of the issues inside of the X.AI platform. We're now going to go with our third follow-up question. And finally, we are going to ask the AI to choose one. We're then going to click Enter. Now, the X.AI model does come to a different conclusion than for the default model as well as the ChatGPT 4o model. So you can use different models inside of Perplexity to come to different conclusions with the exact same questions. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. In this video, we're going to switch to the newest Claude.ai model. We're now going to use this model in our query. We are going to head to the home page. We're then going to place in the first question to our query. We're then going to click Enter, and we will allow Perplexity to generate our answer. Of all of the models, the Claude model provides the least insight but the most concise. We're then going to move to our follow-up question. Now, Claude does provide a more precise element in terms of the second question, and it tends to apply a mathematical score. We are now going to move on to the third question, and we will then click Enter. And finally, we are going to ask the model to choose one. The answer is the same as the GPT-4o model as well as the default model from Perplexity. The only dissenting model is the X.AI model. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. We are going to convert different test results to different pages. We're going to take the test results from the Claude Sonnet model. We're going to convert it to a page. We're going to edit in the name of the model. We're then going to publish the page. And our page is now published. We're now going to go to the page generated by X.AI. And we're going to convert it to a page. We're going to edit the page, and we're going to include how we created the model. We're then going to click Save. We will then publish our page. Finally, we're going to choose the default page, and we're going to publish that page also. And we're going to click Publish. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. We have already generated a photograph image. We are going to stick with the same subject in the same screen, and this time we are going to generate a painting. So we're going to click on Painting. We're going to allow Perplexity then to generate a painting, and you will get a chance to see the model work in a different way. We will click on top of the image, and we can now see our painting. We can now download this image to our hard drive. We're going to come back to the image generation. In this case, we're going to generate a diagram. So we're going to click on Diagram. We're going to allow Perplexity to generate a diagram. And you can see Perplexity's version of a diagram. We're now going to download this image now to our hard drive. And finally, we can go to the Generate Image tab, and we can now generate an illustration. We're going to choose Illustration. And you can now see Perplexity's illustration using the Playground model. So you can use any of the models to generate one of 4 kinds of images. And each different model is going to generate these 4 styles in a different way. Once you have the image, you can right-click and save the image to your hard drive. Since all of our images are now saved to this panel, we can convert this to a page. Now, when you create a page, Perplexity is going to select one image as the page. If you want to change that image, you can change it. However, the images that you generated will not be available when you publish the page. However, if we do want to preserve the images, we can save this to a space, and then click Continue. And our content is now in our space area. We can go to our spaces. You can go to your space, if you click on top of the space, you'll be able to see your images. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. You will notice in the settings area that the image generation model also has multiple models that you can test. We're going to test all three of the models to see if there are differences in the way that they generate images. Image generation is exclusive to the Pro version and not available in the free version. We're going to start the process with the playground model or the default model inside of the Pro version of Perplexity. We're going to ask a simple question. We're going to ask for an image from Perplexity. When you come to the Home tab and you put in your query, one of the things you're going to notice is that the model will typically tell you that this is not something that it can do, which is generate an image. The image generation area will then come up on the right side here. And so what you'll need to do is you'll need to then go to this area in order to generate an image. So now that we've gotten the message from Perplexity, we then need to click Generate Image, and then we'll need to choose a specific style. For this image, we're going to choose a photograph style, and we're going to allow Perplexity to generate an image photograph style. Once the image is generated, we can click on top of the image. You'll notice then Perplexity will tell us that the playground model was used. We can then download the image to our hard drive. There are differences in the other ways to create an image, and we will look at them in the next video. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in the next video. Welcome back. We are going to test a different image generation model. In this case, we're going to test the Flux 1 model. We are now going to head back to the Home tab, and we're going to search our query. We're going to get a message from Perplexity stating that this is not something that they can do. What we're now going to do is we're going to go to the Image Generation tab. We're then going to go to this tab. In this case, we're going to choose a photograph image. And we're going to allow Perplexity to generate the photograph image. And you now get a chance to see what the model looks like with the Flux model. And Perplexity will indicate the model in the upper right-hand corner. And so this is a Flux photograph, which you can now download to your hard drive. We can also compare the other images. We can now compare a painting. Again, you may want to compare the painting against some of the other models, or you may want to compare it against what Flux is able to do with a photograph. We are now going to generate a diagram. We're going to click on Diagram and allow Flux to generate a diagram. And you'll see Flux's interpretation of a diagram. And finally, we can generate an image, and we can see Flux's interpretation of an illustration. And so you can choose based on the model whose style that you like best for the image that you were trying to create. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. We are now going to move to the image generation model, which is DALL-E, and DALL-E is the image generation model used by OpenAI in ChatGPT. We are going to use our prompt, and we're going to click Enter. We're going to await for the message in search. Once we have the message in search, we are then going to wait for the image area. Once we get it, we are then going to click Generate Image. We are then first going to generate a photograph. And we're going to see DALL-E's version of the photograph. And you can now see DALL-E's version of the photograph. We're going to come back. We're going to generate another image. In this case, we're now going to generate a painting. We're going to see DALL-E's version of a painting. And you can see DALL-E's version of a painting. We're going to come back to image generation. We are now going to choose diagram. And you can now see DALL-E's version of a diagram. And finally, we're going to close out of this image. And we're going to generate an image. In this case, we're going to generate an illustration. And you can now see DALL-E's version of an illustration. So you can use the model that you want in order to produce the image, and you can switch them when you need different kinds of images depending on what you were trying to display or demonstrate. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. We are going to start a live example by first creating a place for us to hold all of the elements that we're going to be using in the content piece that we're going to be creating. We're going to go to the Spaces tab. What we are then going to do is we are going to create a space. We are going to give the space a title. We're going to write in our description. For this space, we're going to choose a default AI model. And since we do have access to the Pro version, we're going to choose our model. We are going to use the GPT-4 model. We are going to provide custom instructions for the space. We're going to give our space an emoji, and we're then going to click Continue. Our space is now created. We're going to enter our space, and our space is now ready for us to begin adding content. We are going to do one more thing, and then we're going to make sure that our profile is now edited properly. So we're going to go to the Pro area, and we're going to edit our profile. We're going to go through the process of doing an introduction for our profile. We're going to enter in our profile. We're going to write in our location. We're now going to click Save. We're now going to answer questions. We're going to screenshot the questions, and we're going to head to ChatGPT. We're going to ask for ChatGPT to help us with these questions. We're going to stop the process here, and we're going to pick it up from entering the content into the profile area. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. It's important to note that we are taking advantage of the memory function in ChatGPT in order to help us to answer these questions. If you don't have a prior history with ChatGPT and you don't have memory stored where ChatGPT is recording all of your interactions, then you may not be able to use the feature and it won't necessarily help you to come to ChatGPT. You can be just as well served by using Perplexity. However, because of a previous history with ChatGPT, we can ask for its assistance to help us to answer these questions. So we're now going to copy and paste this information into the dialog box in Perplexity. So we now have our questions answered. We're going to click on the entry buttons. Perplexity is going to now give us more questions. So what we're going to do is we're going to screenshot these questions. And we're going to head to ChatGPT. We're going to return to the same conversation. We're going to let ChatGPT know we have new questions. And ChatGPT will assist us by generating answers to the questions that we are submitting through the image that we have uploaded. And we're going to complete the process. And our profile is now complete. We are now ready to begin working inside of our example. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now that we have our space open, what we can now do is we can upload files to provide the Perplexity model with content to guide it in the generation process. We're going to add files from our hard drive. And as you can see, we can upload up to 50 documents that are 25 meg each. And our file is now added. We can start the process with our queries by first choosing a specific source. Now in this particular case, because we have the Pro version, one of the things that we can do is we can access our space files in addition to the web at the same time. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to access both our files as well as the web when we're going to be generating content inside of this thread. We can now write in our thread. You do have files with the space. You can also attach files here in this area, and you can attach images, text, and PDFs. And so we can start the process with an initial query based on the web and our space files, as well as our uploaded files. We will then click Next. And we will allow Perplexity to answer the question that we have given it. And even though it is not instantaneous, the process is relatively fast to create the answer. Now that we have the basis for an answer, we can move on to the next step in the process. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Come back. We're going to go to the top of our space. Now for the next part of the process, we're going to go to the Home tab. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the Writing tab. We first want to verify the model that we are using. In this case, we're going to use the Claude 3.5 Sonnet model. And we're now going to head back to the home page. We are now going to change our focus. We're going to change our focus in this post to writing. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to ask Perplexity for an outline on our topic area. We're going to paste in our text and we're going to alter it slightly. So now we have set Perplexity to write. In this particular case, we can choose to upload images, text, or PDF. We're going to add to this PDF. And we have our files. We are now going to click enter. And Perplexity will begin to produce what it is that we have asked it to produce. Now, one of the things that you may notice about your content is it will take into consideration what you have personalized in your profile. And so you will see elements of your writing, if that is a step that you have taken. Perplexity will attempt to take that profile and add it to your writing. Now, this is more of an outline than it is an actual article. What we're going to do is we're going to ask Perplexity to rewrite this, but to rewrite it in article format. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. When we use the rewrite command and we click on it, Perplexity will ask you what model you want to use. So we did attempt to rewrite with a different model. However, it did produce something that looked more like an outline than it did an article. So what we did was we went back and we did a follow-up question, and we stated that we wanted Perplexity to write the post as if it were going to be on a blog. And then took that request and then did some rewriting and incorporated our personal profile into the writing. So we now have a long blog post inside of our space. So basically, everything that we have is going to be related to our topic area. We're now going to take the very same prompt and we're going to ask Perplexity to write it. And we're going to ask Perplexity to write it using the files and not the web. So we're going to place in our text, and this time we're going to go to set our sources. We're going to detach the web from this particular writing, and we're going to ask Perplexity now to rewrite the very same thing, yet with the files that we have uploaded. So we're now going to click enter. And we're going to see the work that Perplexity is going to put together based on the files that it has available. One thing that's noticeable from this article is that the application is misspelled. So we're going to go back to Perplexity and we're going to ask Perplexity to rewrite the article, yet we're going to give it the correct spelling for the application it is basing its writing on. And we're going to ask Perplexity to rewrite based on that fact. So Perplexity works like any other chatbot. You can iterate with it. And as you iterate, you will be able to create more and more accurate information with your sources. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Inside of your Pro account, you have the ability to turn your account to an incognito account. You can click on the account area, and you can interact with Perplexity in incognito mode. In incognito mode, you can click the home button, and you can start a new thread. You'll notice then that you have anonymous threads that you're creating that will not appear in your library and will expire after 24 hours. And like all of your other threads, you can set them according to the way you want to interact with Perplexity for that specific session or period of time. We will now click enter in incognito mode. Incognito does allow for multimodal. So we can go to the rewrite command. We can choose a specific model that we want to work with. And we can rewrite based on use of a specific model. One of the things that you'll notice even about incognito mode is that it will use your profile. So you'll see some of the profile elements that you have in your writing, even though technically you're not in your named account. What you'll notice here is there is no ability to save this particular content. You can, though, create a shareable link with the content that you have created. Okay, so that thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Perplexity does have the ability to read code and HTML files. For example, you can upload an HTML file, and you can ask for changes to be made based on the file that you actually have. And so what you can do is you can request that Perplexity rewrite the HTML, and to do it in a way so that you would be able to then cut and paste what Perplexity gives you into your new HTML file. We're then going to click enter. We're going to allow Perplexity to rewrite the content. We're now going to ask Perplexity to place the letter inside of HTML code. Code doesn't exactly fall into the same code as the file, so we're going to ask one more time. So what we have now done is we have now taken the HTML code, we have not only changed the content, we placed it in a way so that we can cut and paste into the HTML file. So Perplexity can work with your HTML, and it can code depending on your level and knowledge of coding or language that you want to work with. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video.